I grew up in Scarborough, Maine in the 50s and the 60s. And for us, we were living in the suburbs, and the suburbs had really just come to life then. Most people had lived in the cities, that's where everything was happening. They didn't have access to cars, so they had to rely on trains and buses to get them to where they needed to go. But by the time I was born, the American dream was to have, a house with a white picket fence and a couple of kids and a dog in the yard. Um, and it was like that right up until I graduated from high school. It seemed like that's what everybody wanted.
What is my idea of the American dream when I was growing up? It was the beginning of suburbs being built, people leaving the city, people, parents raising their children. They wanted to have a better life for them. So the expectation was to work hard, do well in school, go to college, find a passion that you're interested in, and be successful. That's what your parents wanted you to do. That was the side of the American dream. That was the ideal. The reality is, not everybody can live the American dream. It takes hard work, dedication, luck, fortitude, and the ability to know that it's okay to fail and learn from your failures, and then be able to move forward and be as successful as you can. Be The American dream has changed from the 40s, 50s, 60s, and even the 70s, and to it is the way it is now. Because of globalization, a lot of companies, industries, jobs have left the United States. Detroit was a booming city. Now it's known as the Rust Belt of America. So what's really changed over time is as I said before, is the availability of jobs. Decent, good paying jobs where the middle class could survive, have a home, have a car, raise a family. Now it's not like that. Jobs have gone overseas, companies have left, unemployment has fluctuated over the past couple decades, and the American dream is not really the American dream anymore. So people have lost hope. Unemployment is low, they say, but there are many millions of people, tens of millions of people that are still unemployed, underemployed, and so they're not being able to achieve the American dream. What needs to change is society has to accept and believe and want people to have the ability to rise above, make a good living, and kind of reminisce back to what it was like in the 50s and 60s. As they say, those were the good old days. So it's going to take some time, and hopefully over time, life will change. People will be able to achieve the American dream. But again, it's not how it was before. Life changes, and I'm just drifting on, and it's time to say, that's all, folks.
When I was a kid, something that we always did was we had dinner together every night of the week. So my father would come home from work. We knew exactly what time he was getting home. My mother would have made dinner. It would be all prepared. We'd sit down and we would eat together as a family. That was really important to my parents. The other thing that we always did is we had a big Sunday dinner. So we would go to church on Sunday morning, and then we would come home and we would have a big Sunday dinner. And everybody came. So my mother and father, their siblings may come, my cousins may come. It was a huge family event. What I noticed that I think has changed over the years, so when I first got married, that was something that was a tradition that I thought was still really important. The difference was my husband went to school at night, I worked days, so we couldn't have those nightly meals together. But I could rely on my mother to always have them prepared, so sometimes I would go over to her house. But Sundays, I would always make sure we had a big Sunday dinner. Now, as the years went by, and as I've seen changes in my generation, And the next generation that has come, my children and their children, they're not used to those evening dinners. I did insist that my children, my husband, and I all sat down to the table together and that we had dinner as many nights as we possibly could. It seems today that's gone away. That parents are so busy and their children are so busy with so many sports activities that they're involved in, extracurricular activities, student awards, events, something going on every single night of the week, that they don't have that opportunity to come together as a family where they can sit, they can look each other in the eye, they can talk about their day. That's really an important piece of living. And I feel that that part of the American dream has been taken away. The American family has changed. And I can't say that I think it's for the better. I think that you really need that time. So somehow parents have to learn to carve out that time again where they can sit down with their children, they can look in their eyes, they can get a sense of how they're feeling, and they can either validate their feelings or they can give them reassurance. That was something that always happened at our dinner table when I was growing up. It happened at the dinner table when my children were growing up. But my children's children, not so much, and I think that you will find that in most homes.
Yes, Twyla. Flying dogs.